And good afternoon, North Georgia. Don Strength with you from the Office of Emergency Management, White County Public Safety. And we're going to bring you an update this afternoon, tell you what we think is going to happen with the weather tonight, and give you some information. So we invite you to stay tuned as we go through what could potentially be a pretty significant weather event across White County and all of pretty much the entire southeastern United States. But you've been hearing a lot about severe weather today. As a matter of fact, the last couple of days, you've been seeing this all over social media. The news media has really been hitting it hard. A lot of focus has been on tornadoes and severe thunderstorms. And yes, indeed, there will be those. But the threat across North Georgia, here in the Northeast Georgia mountains, is primarily going to be high wind and rain. Is the chance of a severe thunderstorm or two completely out of the question for White County? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, we'll have a line of thunderstorms move through here probably mid morning tomorrow. But I don't think the severe weather threat as it pertains to tornadoes and severe thunderstorms is going to be our main issue. A low pressure system, very strong low pressure system, pulling out of the nation's midsections, will be running across the Ohio Valley, and that is going to drag a tremendous amount of wind across North Georgia over the next 24 hours or so. As a matter of fact, we have a high wind warning that has been issued by the National Weather Service. That high wind warning went into effect at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and it runs through 7 p.m. tomorrow night. Now, you might say, well, we don't have extremely strong winds out there right now. And the warnings are back. That means that there is a possibility of seeing wind gust up to 40 and 50 miles per hour across North Georgia. And you saw on that last graphic where the high wind warning is in place this afternoon. It's the Northeast Georgia mountains primarily. Now, this is the non-thunderstorm wind gust. I want you to understand that. We have two different types of wind here. We have wind that is produced by thunderstorms and tornadoes. What we are going to experience for the most part across White County is going to be non-thunderstorm type winds. And this is going to be caused from a pressure gradient between the low pressure that's moving in our direction and high pressure centered off the northeastern coast of the United States. So we're kind of caught in between those two systems, and that's what's causing all the wind. As a matter of fact, this afternoon I had to fly a drone mission to look in a particular area for a possibility of a brush fire, which turned out not to be anything. But at about 386 feet, probably about an hour ago, our wind was already sustained at 30 miles per hour. So, what happens when we start to get precipitation in here later on this afternoon or this evening and during the overnight hours, that precipitation will push that wind down to the surface. That's when we start to see the gusty winds across the area. So you can see across the high ridge tops of White County, we're talking up on top of Richard Russell, back over toward Unicoi Gap. Places like that could see wind gust 50, maybe even 60 miles per hour during the overnight, and certainly tomorrow morning when the main line moves through. In Helen, down in Cleveland, up in Sawtee, back down toward the southern end of the county, we're probably looking at wind gust 35, maybe 40 miles per hour during the heavy rain downpours. When it's not raining, yeah, you're looking at 15, 20, 25 miles per hour. But when we get some of that heavy rain started, that's when the wind will come down to the surface. And would you look at that? That is a significant amount of rain forecast for Northeast Georgia. We're talking 3 to 4 inches of rain possible across White County, and some localized locations could even see 5 inches or so. I've actually seen a model or two that's giving us up to 6 inches of rain in some areas. Now, we've been through those kinds of storms before, and we know what that kind of rain in a short period of time can do. It will certainly cause flooding in those flood-prone areas across White County. You know where they are. They flood every time it comes a good rain. But this is an opportunity for us to see flooding in areas where we maybe don't ordinarily see it. So that's why we want to make sure that you understand this is has at least the potential of being a significant weather system for White County. Now, what you're looking at now is the high resolution model showing us what we think is going to happen here. We get rain in here by midnight tonight. And then we'll see scattered showers. That's when the wind should start picking up. Scattered thunder showers running along a warm front that's going to advance north ahead of the main line. And then as we head toward mid-morning tomorrow, you see that main line of storms coming across Alabama, moving into West Georgia, and then into North Georgia, and moving on off into South Carolina by 1 or 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Also, I want to show you the current radar that we have going out there at this hour, and we'll just do this on the fly. This is what's actually happening. So what you was looking at before I switched to this screen was the computer's depiction of what they think is going to happen with the rain, and this is what's actually happening. So you can see the two are very similar. So I have to believe what the high resolution radar is telling us. I think they're spot on with their predictions. So you can see we've already got moderate rain down in Montgomery. We have moderate rain approaching Dothan. Some heavier showers off coast south of Apalachicola. Look over there near Hattiesburg, Mississippi. We've actually got some stronger storms there. And we have seen several tornado warnings already back over toward Houston, Texas, and up in the vicinity just south of Shreveport, Louisiana, and a special weather statement currently in effect near Jackson, Mississippi. All this moving off to the northeast, while that big, deep, low-pressure system you see back over Amarillo, Texas, and also back down by Dallas, all of that's moving in our general direction, and that's what's going to bring us all the weather. I got to tell you, I'm not worried about severe thunderstorms or tornadoes. What I'm concerned about is high wind. We're talking 30, 40, maybe even 50 up on the ridge tops, and 3 to 4 inches of rain. We all know what that's going to do. It's going to cause flooding. And with the ground saturated, we're going to have trees that will fall. And when trees fall, it brings down power lines. Remember, if you are just reporting a tree down, whether it's involved in a power line or not, we do need to know that. If there's not life in danger, then we ask that you call our non-emergency number for 911. That's 706-865-0911. I'll repeat that again, 706-865-0911 to report trees and power lines. Now, if it's a life safety issue, if you're in your automobile and a tree limb falls on your car and you can't get out, or if the power line is on fire, then you just simply dial 911. Well, the idea here is that we don't tie up our 911 lines with calls that are not emergencies. So please remember that as we get into this event this evening. I would be prepared for power outages and perhaps even widespread power outages across White County. Understand, folks, there's always that possibility that this will be a complete bust, and we won't see any of this type of weather this evening. If the storms grow really strong across the Gulf Coast, it could block some of that rain from making it up into North Georgia. So that could certainly lessen our rainfall amounts. But the wind's already there. As I mentioned just a moment ago, about an hour ago, I had my drone up at about 380 feet, and winds were already sustained at 30 miles per hour. And that's only going to grow stronger as that low pressure gets closer to us. What it takes is for heavy rain to transport that wind down to the surface of the ground. And I believe that will happen later on this evening and into tomorrow morning. School has been canceled for White County. Several counties around us have decided not to run school tomorrow as well. Unless you absolutely have to get out, the best idea is to hunker down, stay indoors. Don't worry about getting out on the roadways. And of course, we will keep you updated here on our public safety page. We've had several meetings today. We plan on at least partially manning our emergency operations center throughout this entire event. So we will have periodic updates as we go throughout the evening and into tomorrow morning to keep you well advised of what's going on across White County and across Northeast Georgia in particular. But again, two things to remember. We are concerned about high wind and we're concerned about flooding. A lot of rain. We're talking wind gusts 40 to 50. We're talking rain 3 to 4 inches with some localized amounts of up to 5 or maybe even 6 inches before this is all done. Severe thunderstorms, tornadoes should stay well south of the I-85 corridor. Should not be a problem here across White County. However, if you live in a mobile home or if you're in a subpar structure, you're going to want to have a plan to go somewhere else, because even a 30, 40, 50 mile per hour wind gust can cause a lot of damage, especially if we start to see trees coming down across the area. So that'll wrap up this update. We'll continue to monitor this. We'll give you as much notice as we can when we decide to come back and continue, as we continue to watch this potential weather event across White County from the Office of White County Public Safety. Good evening.